So coming in over time, where China has a huge domestic market, which Earl mentioned that I've said before, is extraordinarily poor. You go outside of the big cities in China, and you will see people living in squalor. And that's why the per capita GDP is a far more important indicator of what is going on in China. Well, as they began to realize they wanted to grow more and more, but most of the population, particularly in the western part of the country, does not and did not have purchasing power, that's why they focused on the export side. And what happened was, as the exports began to grow, the center and the western part of the economy began to languish, and there was not enough concentration on growing the economy based on a consumer economy. And so we've gotten to the point today where there's been a lot of successful reforms, but they have overextended themselves in terms of exports. There is still the real Achilles heel of the economy, where the state-owned enterprises, the large chemical companies, petrochemicals, steel, coal, are all run by the party. And it's a closed system. The raison d'etre for the party are the state-owned enterprises and vice versa. And so what they are now confronting as their growth is slowing, which frankly has little to do with the trade war, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, they have painted themselves in the corner, and this is why I began talking about the notion of a socialist market economy. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. And that's what they've been trying to do, and they've had a large enough economy and a large enough of an export engine that they've been able, frankly, to go through with enough slack in the system. But now they're getting caught up. And the numbers that Earl has mentioned, one needs to take into account. All those numbers are accurate, but there's a huge scale effect here. This is a country of 1.3 billion people. And so many of these numbers are flavored by the fact that China is huge, no matter where you go. So that's why I think, in large part, why it is where we are today, that China has had a pretty impressive growth record, but the contradictions now, the chickens have come home to roost.